Good morning, everybody. Morena. Do we have everybody here that is intended to be here? Excellent. Well, welcome to our first Transport Subcommittee meeting. It's great to have you here, and thank you for arriving prepared and invigorated and just ready to get into the detail of how we move about our city. So I will open, for those who are joining us online, my name is Councillor Mesh MacDonald and I'm your chair for today, and I want to acknowledge my Deputy Chair who is here today, Councillor Sarah Thompson. So without further ado, I will open our meeting with a karakia and we will proceed from there. Ki noi tātou. Tui ai runga, tui ai raro, tui ai roto, tui ai wahoa, tui ngā kaimahi o te kaunihira a Kuriririroa, paia te iti kia hurangi, kia u, kia mau, kia ita, haumi, huie, tai kie. Kia ora, thank you everybody. Let's start with our apologies. We have full apologies from Deputy Mayor Taylor and Councillor O'Leary. Can I please have, I'll move that our apologies be accepted. Thank you, Councillor Thompson, for seconding that. Next order of business is confirmation of the agenda. I'll move that the agenda be accepted. Thank you, Councillor Mead, for seconding that. Oh, before I get into that, I need to track back to the first one. I forgot to ask if everyone was in favour of accepting the motion of the apologies. Hands up, thank you. Any against? Thank you very much. So then I will do the same thing for the confirmation of the agenda. I'm moving it, Councillor Mead is seconding it. Can I please have show of hands for all in favour? Thank you. I saw all hands go up, so that means none are against. Moving on to item number 3, are there any conflicts of interest to declare in relation to today's agenda? No? Awesome, thank you. That there being none, let's move on to the Chair's report. So we, just in terms of how our meeting will run today, we are going to start with the Chair's report and we will deal with that. We have one submitter who has come to share his thoughts with us today, so I will invite him to come and speak after the Chair's report, which will be in about 15 minutes time when he will speak to us, and we will proceed up to that point for now. Right, so in terms of the Chair's report, a couple of comments that I want to make in relation to that. Then I will open it for debate, any questions, and we will open for comments after that. So in terms of what I would like to, I guess, highlight out of the Chair's report is the fact that transport decisions are amongst the most visible decisions that Council makes for our community. They affect how people move around the city every day. So both the practical outcomes of those activities as well as the public confidence in how those activities are carried out are both really important. So in terms of running this Transport Subcommittee, this being the first meeting in this triennium, I intend to apply a few simple lenses, including focusing on outcomes rather than the activity, maintaining strong core network performance, ensuring clear visibility of cost and value for money. Where changes are proposed, I expect to see a clear articulation of the problem being addressed, the outcomes being sought and the data being relied on. Alongside forward-looking decisions, I also intend to introduce reviews of completed work so we can confirm outcomes and capture the lessons learned. So I would like to open the space for questions of our elected members concerning the Chair's report. No questions?
Oh, we were just discussing earlier the question of having costings within the report, and is that was that it would be good to hear what the plan is for the next report on that one.
Thank you.
Chair.
So this Transport Subcommittee being at the end of a lot of the decision making with kind of the heavy lifting of the concept nature of the projects happening in city delivery going forward. Where costs are available to be brought in, we can remind ourselves of what was budgeted, and if costs have been spent up to the state, we can have an update on that here. For this committee, that's been raised, and I will raise that again later on, but we will have costings that are available brought in today to supplement what is in the report, and there will also be follow-up costings that we will receive in relation to what's not available today. Thank you. Okay, so let's move. Oh, another question?
Yeah, I've got a number of questions, if I may.
Are they about the Chair's report, or are they about other items? Because we're just looking at the Chair's report at the moment.
Maybe that's probably one just the Chair's report then.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask from the Chair's report under these plans and things we brought today. Procurement process used for all of these works, and what was it? Can we have that somewhere down the procurement process for all of these things? With just, is that outside where you want to be, or is that a later on question?
I think that's a later on question.
Okay.
That will relate specifically to the projects that we cover in the next report.
Cool.
Perfect. Thank you. There being no other questions on the Chair's report, let's move into debate.
We'll just need a seconder for your Chair's report.
Right. I will move that my Chair's report be accepted. Thank you, Councillor Bitter, for seconding that. Now we'll move into the debate, and so I will open the floor for comments from our elected members.
And Sue is first.
Councillor Moroney.
Oh, kia ora, and thank you, Chair. Thank you for your report, and congratulations on chairing your first meeting. I look forward to, in this report, first of all, I want to acknowledge that. Thank you for acknowledging in your report how important transport is to how people connect to their community, because I think that's been the eye-opener for me in a previous role when I became the opposition spokesperson for transport in our parliament. At first I thought it was about infrastructure and, and works and things like that, and I very quickly understood and was very excited about the idea that it's actually about people. Transport is about people, it's about how we connect with each other, and yes, it is about our economy as well. So it is a really important portfolio, it's a very important piece of work. That is why we hear so much about it, because people care deeply about how they interact with their community, they care deeply about how they can move around their city, and how they can do that safely as well. There are a lot of diverse needs when it comes to transport in our city, and I'm really looking forward to exploring all of those diverse needs through this committee, through this subcommittee. I'm looking forward to the time when we have an agenda that is able to talk more about public transport. I note today's agenda is a lot about our roads.
That's the City Delivery Committee.
Right, it's going to be the City Delivery Committee. I would hope that, though, when we're talking about transport, that is top of mind, that we are thinking about public transport, because it's obviously, in a city environment, it's a very key part of what we do. So looking forward to more discussions around that, understanding that we don't particularly have all of the decision-making capability within this council on those issues, but knowing that we need to make significant progress in that area. Kia ora.
Thank you, Councillor Moroney. Next is Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. Firstly, congratulations, Chair, on your first meeting, and thank you for an excellent report. I think you've raised some really good principles to think about as we look at projects. And also, I note that you have included a new aspect to this subcommittee compared to last term, which is looking at reviewing various projects post-completion and focusing in. We would obviously be looking to focus in on key ones, but what it allows us to do is actually learn from what we've done, learn the good, learn from the bad, and also ensure that where there are issues that may need to be resolved once we see how a project is functioning and working, we'd actually be able to do that in a timely way. So I think it's an excellent step in a good direction from you. And I look forward to the subcommittee. We know that you're very good in terms of having an eye for detail and ensuring that we have, the right information in front of us. So look forward to it.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Bidder.
Thank you, Councillor MacDonald. The election and preceding term showed feedback from the public that transport was a major issue for residents, and we did have outcomes that upset many people. I went for a ride with the fire department and the Waikato Times, and hitting the speed bumps at 50 kilometres an hour in a 20-tonne truck was quite unpleasant. Feedback from the frontline firefighters was not as positive as we would like. I'm really looking forward to your leadership because of your attention to detail. So this is going to be a very successful committee going forward. I am certain of that. A common phrase we heard last term was from councillors was, "I'm not a traffic engineer." As Councillor Moroney said, transport is about people. We use our transport network, so we are all experts and we are the customers. We know what works and what doesn't, so we can speak on these matters. Looking forward to the rest of the term. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bidder. All right. Councillor Mead.
Thank you, Chair Mesh. Congratulations on having your first meeting as chair of a new training. For me, I'd like to reiterate what Councillor Bidder has said, and the fact that everybody out there is a potential person who knows a heap about what's going on in their roads. And at times I'd like to, and hope this committee as we go forward, and many of them, actually look and listen to what's happening in our communities and what they actually want. And that would be the direction that we're looking at consultation, looking at how we use information and how we involve our community in what we are doing going forward, so we can get, not in every case, but some better outcomes that appease more people.
Thank you, Councillor Mead. And yes, I appreciate, use my right of reply, appreciate the comments that have been made and the different lenses that people bring to this subcommittee, all being road users in various forms, acknowledging Councillor Moroney's point about it being about people, it being about outcomes rather than activities, and this activity needs to support the outcomes. So thank you all very much for that. We move to the vote being that the Chair's report being accepted. Can I have a show of hands for those for? Thank you. All hands went up, so there will be no against.
Carried unanimously.
Thank you. I would like to move us on to the next item, which is item number 5, and we will open our next item now with Mr. Atkins, Mr. Stephen Atkins, who has come in to share his perspectives about Clyde Street, which is one of the items that are noted in the traffic report, in item number 5. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Atkins. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to your comments.
I'm Steve Atkins. I live at 95 Clyde Street, and entering Clyde Street from the shared drive. Is that not on? Oh, right. Is that on? Thank you. Shall I start again? Or did I speak loud enough?
Yep.
So there's a shared driveway, and the markings on the road for parked cars are at present very unclear because there's 2 lines that terminate that parking bay. there's a proposal put forward that myself and 2 neighbours have commented on to reduce that to a single bay. So the problem is, following Mesh's lead, the problem is just about anyone who uses that easement, including all my visitors, myself, Ken and Shirley Quick, who are at 97 Clyde Street, and Aaron Pell, who's at 95A Clyde Street, have had near misses entering the road. One of the things that does aggravate the situation is that it's a downhill section of Clyde Street and you just cannot see oncoming cars. So that's the problem. There's been so many near misses, including my brother, who was almost taken out by a bus. I've had a van had to slam on its brakes. The data, so you've got 4 houses in there. 3 of us have submitted that we're in agreement with that change. The 4th house tends to be rented and the people go in and out. And I might also add, they're the ones that tend to park illegally out the front on the yellow line. So I didn't go near that house. So there's been numerous incidents. If you wanted me to be like a person reporting on dogs, I could write down the time and the date, and there would be a never-ending list of, well, this was dicey getting onto that road. I will say in general as well that unfortunately it's sort of starting to apply to a lot of exits onto roads because of the height of these SUVs is making it very difficult for people like myself in a standard sedan to actually see, plus the sloping away and the proximity of the end of that. So even if that second bay was, so the 1.5 parking bays were there, when there is someone parked in that single bay, it doesn't ease the problem. Okay, so that's all part of the data that I am presenting, and to conclude, the outcome would be a positive vote for the proposal that council has put, and that has been supported by the three permanent residents, plus our visitors, which includes families with young kids and so on. The alternative is to just make it the 1.5, and then I would say that it's going to happen because it's not safe, even when someone has parked to the current yellow lines and the 1.5 bays. So it definitely needs reducing to a single bay. There you go. Problem, data, outcome.
Thank you very much,
You
Mr.
gave
Atkins.
me the cue, Mish.
Can I just invite you to just stay with us for a minute longer and open for questions from our elected members for Mr. Atkins in relation to his submission? Oh, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. This is a bit tricky because I'm looking at Google Maps here, and it would be quite good to sit down beside you to to ask this. But thank you, firstly, Mr. Atkins, for coming in and presenting. We really appreciate it. So just for clarification, the proposed the car park being removed, or partial car park. Yes, you've got a piece of paper there, do you?
It's 1.5.
Yeah, okay, it's 1.5, and you're bringing it back to just
A single one,
Yeah.
which is what council proposed.
And so my question there was, even with the single one, does it still block your view? Like, is it actually going to solve the problem? Because it's a very small area. Do you often have 2 cars parking there, which is causing the problem to start with?
Yeah, the original photo I sent in showed where that car finally
Yes.
became visible, but
Yeah.
council replied and said, well, they shouldn't be parked on the yellow line, which
Yeah.
is true. I had originally requested that the whole park be removed,
Right.
and they just said, well, we're not going to do that. Right. Whose decision was that, I could have asked, and I would have been justified in asking such decision. So that was the original request, was to remove the whole lot.
And that remains your preference?
That would be number one preference, yeah.
Right.
But
Okay.
I will admit that going to a single one does help a lot,
Yeah.
not totally, but it seemed to me to be the best deal I was going to get after submitting
Okay.
originally.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. And I heard a bell, so that means that the time allotment for any further questions has expired, elapsed. Thank you.
Well, you can grant 30 seconds extra, you know, at
I
your
can.
discretion.
I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in to share your perspective on that particular item. Can I just take a moment to confer about whether we separate that out and we can deal with that now?
Robin will come forward and
Oh,
she will
okay.
do that. She's very excellent.
Okay. So thank you very much. We will invite Robin Denton, who is one of our senior managers at City Council, to come and speak to our traffic report, of which Clyde Street is one of those aspects, and I'll invite Robin to, I guess, maybe speak to the Clyde Street element first, or in the earlier part, so Mr Atkins can be here and present for that part, if possible. Thank you. Welcome, Robin.
Good morning, councillors. I'm Robin Denton. I'm the Network and Systems Operations Manager in the Transport team for Hamilton City. So today's report, I'll just provide a little bit of background for the understanding of the newer members for this committee on how we work through pulling together this report each time. So the various restrictions that are put through this committee are a legal requirement in order to make them enforceable, and they are put in through under the traffic bylaw. The projects and the various sites that have come forward this time and will come forward in the future are a combination of a number of requests. So we obviously have quite a few that are associated with projects that are being delivered, generally minor improvements, which have been approved through the City Delivery Committee or previous committees, the Infrastructure and Transport Committee. And restriction changes associated with completion of those projects. We have a lot of requests come through from the general public, such as this morning's submitter. And we also get requests through development proposals to have changes made to restrictions on the road. The process we use is to consult with affected parties. So that's the people who have requested or where that change is, and then we look to adjacent properties and the properties across the road. And we do a letter drop with those parties, and we give them a time frame for giving responses back to us. If everybody's happy, then the item is just included within the body of the report, such as Clyde Street is today. Where we get feedback and we have people who might want a change or aren't in support of it, then we do continue to do some work with all of the parties. Often that means a meeting on site with the various interested parties to see if we can find a compromise or a position that everybody's happy with. And when that happens, you'll get the detail in the committee report. So you will see today that we've had some where there was an initial proposal, and based on feedback, we have a revised proposal that we've got everyone happy with. If the proposal is generally met with disapproval or people are not happy with it, we will then have a look at whether there is a safety issue involved. And if we really can't get a compromise position, we use that safety measure to say either we don't think there's a safety issue here, and we deal with a little bit of neighbours at war at times, where there's, competition around who's parking where and that sort of thing. If it's that sort of thing, we just leave it, we don't bring it to this committee. If we believe that there is a safety issue involved and that there needs to be a decision made, then we will give a detailed report, and the ultimate decision is made by the elected members of this committee. Thankfully, we don't get many of those. We generally manage to work through and get a compromise in place. So with that in mind, I'm happy to now work through the report. If elected members would like, we can cover off Clyde Street first so that our submitter can leave.
Thank you, yes.
And then I'll work through the rest of the report. So elected members will be able to find a picture of the proposed works on page, now it's 70 of the report, but if you dial up 69 and the 68, yes, it's so many different page numbers, but around that 68, 69, 70. You'll see the visual there, and as the submitter has suggested, we are proposing an additional length of no stopping there to make it very clear about the length of the car park. We do get a lot of these types of requests, and it's a hard balance for us to try and keep some parking on street and to balance that off with the safety of people getting in and out of their driveways. The district plan sets out the visual requirements that we need to meet, so for vehicles coming in and out of different entrances, side roads and that sort of thing, depending on the status of the road. So in the first instance, we will try and come up with a compromise that improves the safety but also retains the parking on street. We do know that there's high demand for parking, and if we end up removing the parking on street, then we often end up with illegal parking on booms and those sorts of issues. So that's the balancing factor, but happy for elected members to ask any questions on that if they like, so we can then move forward.
And invite our elected members if they have any questions specifically about Clyde Street. We could deal with those now. Anything that's not Clyde Street, if you just park, and we'll come back to that later. Councillor Bitter.
Thank you, Chair. Robin, so this affects Clyde Street and a few of the other projects where there are little adjustments to the yellow lines. In this case, it looks like a couple of metres of painting. I have to ask the question about the cost of 2 metres of paint. Would we require traffic management and stop-go sign holders and lots of cones and things to just do 2 metres of yellow line?
We, the team try and minimise the costs when they're going out and doing this, so if they can, they'll be doing it as evening works or night works. The challenge for a street such as this is trying to find a time when there's actually no cars parked there. So that often becomes the bigger issue for us for doing markings. So each site on its own merits. Sometimes it's very easy for them to pop in and get the markings down, pop a couple of cones just so that nobody parks on it while the paint is still wet, because we don't want it spread everywhere, and move on from there. So they're very minimal traffic management associated with some markings. Obviously, if you're putting an arrow in the middle of a road, that requires a lot more. So yeah, it's a case by case really, and a lot of it is when can you find that space free to put the markings down.
Yeah, so I'd certainly be happy with 2 cones, but yeah, I'd hate to see 2 crash trucks, stop-go sign holders.
No, there's not that extent of traffic management required for this sort of marking.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bitter. Councillor Moroney.
Thank you, Robin. Looking at the photo, I can see that there's the shared driveway on the right-hand side as we look at this photo of number 95. I also see that there's, I think, what looks like a shared driveway to the left of number 95. Mm-hmm. And have you looked at the site for the one vehicle being parked there coming out of that driveway as well as the one that I think Mr Atkins talked about.
So when we go in and consult, we will have consulted wider than just that one property. So we
Yeah.
will have consulted with those other properties at the time of doing this, and we didn't receive any feedback about issues.
Okay, thank you. So what was the reason for not accepting the removal of the?
As I explained earlier, it is trying to balance that provision of on-street parking. There are lots of properties in here, we're getting more intensive development, and our test in the first instance is complying with the district plan rules.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Mooney. Councillor Thompson.
Robin, acknowledging your answer around balancing the need for the parking there and balancing safety issues. Just thinking here, is there a kind of a recommended sightline for someone coming out of a driveway on a street that's as busy as this one?
Yes, that's the district plan requirements.
Right, okay. So it currently with this proposal, would meet that?
Yes.
Okay. If there continues, say, part of this is an enforcement issue, if someone decides to just park on the berm where the yellow lines are anyway, even with the one car park left there, what further actions could be taken in that instance?
And if there's any illegal parking or any concerns, the residents can call council, depending on the time of day or night. Then the enforcement team will look to go through and try and enforce.
Okay. And finally, if after we change this, there are still visibility issues from the residents, they would be, I guess, would we reconsider the removal of the full bay?
Yes, we can, and any parking restrictions can be changed again. That's not the one and done. So we're certainly happy for residents to let us know if it hasn't worked. If we need to remove it, then that's what we would then consult on, the removal of the whole car park, and we'd then come back with the results to this committee.
Slightly left of field question, last one, Chair, thank you for your indulgence. I noted that near the hospital there were issues with people constantly parking on the berms, and one clever occupant actually just planted some small bushes along their berm, and it's completely stopped all of the parking, but it hasn't affected visibility in any way. Do we consider more creative solutions in some cases where parking on berms are a regular and persistent issue?
Generally, parking on berms is by the resident themselves. We do have locations such as around the hospital and schools where you might have visitors to the area doing that. The streetscape and gateways policy does allow for parking, for planting within the berms, but does require an approval process through council. That's primarily to work with the person who's proposing to do the planting to make sure that we're not getting large trees and visibility issues being created by that, and for them to understand the maintenance that they need to do. So it is an option, definitely.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, councillor Thompson. I think that's more creative thinking is going to generate great outcomes, so fully endorse that. Councillor Mead.
Thanks, Chair Mish. Just a question, in the middle of the shared driveway, is that a power pole in the middle of the driveway? On the picture I've got here. Just off to one side, or?
Yeah, potentially, yes.
Has there been any discussion with Well or anyone like to move that as well? Because it seems like a very odd place to stick a power pole in the middle of a driveway, or near to the middle of a driveway.
There won't have been discussions. That sort of location for a pole is quite common throughout the city, unfortunately. And the cost to relocate would be at council's cost. And my experience when you ask those sorts of questions, they're quite eye-watering, the numbers that come back.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to look at everything, but also good to keep the realism lens over what works and what things cost. So thank you very much to everyone who has spoken in relation to the Clyde Street space. What I will propose is that we separate out the Clyde Street motion from the rest of the motions. That way we can deal with it separately. Mr. Atkins can see that whatever is decided can be decided while you're here, and then we can proceed with the rest of the traffic report from there, and then you're free to stay or go, whatever's going to suit you the best. So in terms of our motion for Clyde Street, I would like to move that we accept the motion that is contained in the report. Thank you, Councillor Moroney, for seconding that. Can I please have a show of hands for those who would support this motion? It's
Carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. Right, there you go, Mr. Atkins. You have an outcome that you can have a little bit of certainty about.
Excellent. Thank you very much for timing it so that I don't get a parking ticket. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
All present.
Okay, we will proceed with the rest of item number 5 and pass back to you, Robin. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for everyone to understand, so my intention now is to just work my way through the report and the key items, and I will just basically say, like the next one up is Collingwood Street, paragraph 20 on page 20. If there's any questions, and then if there isn't, I'll just move to the next one. If everyone's happy with that, we'll work our way through the report. So, Collingwood Street. Everyone with us? Yep, sorry.
Councillor Bidder.
Are you going to go back to the ones that we haven't? Are you going to go to the ones before we got to Clyde Street?
Oh, we're on Collingwood Street. So
Collingwood. So back
Oh, it
into the
is.
main body of the report.
Sorry, thank you.
Go
I'm looking at
19.
I'm looking at the alphabetical photos. Thank you.
Councillor Bidder.
So this question is about how many parks we're adding there, and the reason for the question is for members of the public gallery and people online who might not have been able to read the whole report. Are we adding another car park?
We're adding one car park.
Yes.
Collingwood Street.
Thank you.
Any other questions about Collingwood? Do you want to?
Ross Trevor Street, which is paragraph 23 as we work our way down through the report. So again, this is a proposed additional car park.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Chair. Robin, I was just curious, is this from the motion that we had a number of months back around requesting staff to investigate further short stay parking opportunities in the CBD, or is it just from shops getting in touch?
No, this has been part of trying to find those additional car parks.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next one is Knox Street, and that's paragraph 29. So this is one where we have a developer coming in, doing a refit, changing the entrances to their property. These restrictions would be put in place only once the work's done, and the changes would be all paid for by the developer. In this case, there is a net gain of additional car parks.
Thank you. Looks like we have no questions in relation to Knox Street, so we'll continue.
So the next one is Seddon Road. So this is where we start getting into the customer requests. So Seddon Road, just north of Bryce Street, we are proposing to alter a couple of angled car parks, taking out 3 and making one parallel to improve the sight lines for people getting out of Bryce Street.
Councillor Bidder.
Thank you, Chair. So, Robin, we're taking out 3 angled parks, we're putting back one parallel park. I've had a look at this, and I understand the sightlines for removing the 3 angled parks. The parallel park won't stick out as much. That makes sense. I see an opportunity to actually extend the parallel parks along where we've got the yellow dotted lines, which could add another couple of parallel parks without impacting on the sightline. Could that be looked at?
I can certainly get the team to have a look at that, yes.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, councillor Bidder. Proceeding with Carrow Street.
Yep, so Carrow Street, this is part of the minor improvements program. We also have fairly major pavement improvements to be done through there. The proposal is to make Carrow Street one-way, so coming in off Anglesey Street and exiting out into Alexandra Street. We are retaining one of the coach parks. We have worked through and consulted with the adjacent businesses in the area, and this is one where, as a result of feedback, we altered the final proposal. So the original proposal that was consulted on is shown in figure 6 under paragraph 43. Then there's the feedback, and then we ended up with a revised plan. So the revision was basically bringing a loading zone forward closer to Alexandra Street. That helps with the new cafe that's just opened on the corner of Carrow and Alexandra, and also the puzzle shop across the road. And we swapped that over with a mobility car park. And the consultation with CCS Disability was that they liked that because those single car parks are actually a lot easier for them to get in and out of for the vehicles. This does result in a net gain of angle parking through there through the length of that road as well.
Thank you, councillor Moroney.
Thank you, Robin. Those first 2 angle parks, as people would drive in here on the new, if it was one way, to get out of those angle parks, you're going to have to park. You're going to have to reverse to a part of that road where people might be turning on to, and you won't know that they're turning. Are those first 2 angle parks safe from that perspective?
Because we've narrowed the entrance down quite significantly, the vehicles won't be able to come in at speed. And there's at least a car park length there for cars when they get in. So, yeah, we're reasonably comfortable. It's also a 30k environment in through there.
So you think that they're going to come in very slowly?
Yes,
Is
it's going to be
why
tight.
you think it's safe?
Yes.
Okay. I'd still have some real concerns about the number of times that there's going to be some collisions there. Even if they come in reasonably slowly, you're still going to be backing into that area, into the narrowed area in order to get out of the angled park, I would have thought. So I'll just leave those thoughts there.
Thank you. Can I just touch on that before we go into other questions? Is there a staff action that we can raise about querying that, or we don't need to?
If you're wanting to adjust what is installed, we could do that through the motion. If you want further investigation into it, that can also be done. I'll ponder on what's the best mechanism as we work through the rest of the questions as well.
Thank you. I'm not seeking to adjust, but I just would like to see some action, maybe some further investigation
I think, would
in relation
be
to
useful.
councillor Moroney's questions.
Yeah, so through the chair, what we can do is, if you do accept this going through, we can keep an eye on it and report back if there are any incidents in that space. That would be a clear action that we could do.
So the other thing to note is all of these sorts of projects have to go through a formal safety audit process as well. So that's reviewed by independent people. So that will be part of the process as well. And that's both at detailed design and post-construction, where you can actually see how it's working in reality.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moroney. Councillor Mead.
Thank you, Chair Mesh. I'm with Councillor Moroney a little bit on this. If you go down Worley Place at the moment and look at some of the large utes that hook out of that angle parking, if you're a smaller car, one closer to the one way going that way, you're not going to be able to see until you get out past the ute. And coming from a 50k road to a 30k road, I think can be a recipe for disaster. And if you look at Worley Place, it is, where you've got large vehicles down there backing out, a smaller vehicle on its inside, they can't see anything. And it's one of those things that I think it may be checked by safety, but has it been checked by people backing out in Worley Place is pretty much an example of angle parking not working well at the moment. And also on the buses, there's normally 2 or 3 buses down there.
So just checking if there's a question
there. Question. Have we considered then the fact that small cars backing out from behind a large ute that can't see anything are going to be in the middle of the road before they get to see the car that's about to hit them?
So that situation is an issue for all angle parking anywhere throughout the city. So it's always, and that's why these areas work reasonably well, because there is that area of doubt and we want everybody to go slowly with them. If elected members feel strongly about it, I can extend the curb extension and take some more car parks out, but that won't address the fact that for any angle parking you can have a large vehicle and a smaller one has difficulty getting out of it. And people have the choice. Some people love angle parking, some people would prefer parallel parking. So, we're giving people choice as well.
Second question, is there enough bus parking, given quite often there's 2 to 3 buses parked in there?
So the coach parking, we're retaining one of the coach parks. We have recently put in additional coach parking overnight in Victoria Street. And as part of this, we're continuing to have discussions with the operators to understand where the best places are, because generally they've dropped people off and then moved to this location because it has parking. It's not that they're actually disembarking the passengers at this location.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we need to continue working with those coach operators. I think the likes of the regional theatre, for example, is likely to generate the need for more coach parking, and it's about trying to get it in the right place, and a lot of that can be something that it's, by day is, say, a loading zone, and by night it's a coach park. So trying to find those opportunities. So a large percentage of the time there is no vehicles parked in there, and it's not really a good use of that space.
Thank you.
So sorry, through the chair, just to add to the previous question around the car parks, to be very clear that the team with their safety hats on have deemed this that it's acceptable to have those car parks in that space. But this is why we have this committee. If it's not to this committee, you can clearly tell us to remove 1 or 2 of those car parks. The key thing for me is we're always trying to balance car parks in the CBD. It's a very big question. Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Bitter.
Thank you, Chair. So I really like most of this project. The one-way system is good. The angle parking, most of that works well. I note that the report says coach company feedback raised concerns about coaches being able to safely enter and exit due to tighter geometry. So I think they're specifically referencing entering Caro Street from Anglesey Street with a left-hand turn. It says staff acknowledge and advise that a formal response will be provided once a decision has been made by the committee.
Yes.
So if that top curb build out is a real problem, what is the process for the project from here, given that the motion is essentially to proceed with all the lane markings and designations?
So we will check again for the radius on that, and if we need to adjust it, we can. That doesn't affect the resolution because it's still no stopping around that corner.
Right. Okay. That's good.
Thank you. Oh, you finished, councillor Bitter?
Yes, thanks.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. Robin, I'm going to ask a question I know the answer to, but for the, if there were any viewers online, for their benefit and anyone interested in this particular project, how many mobility what's the change to the number of mobility parks on the street here, and what's the change to the number of general parks?
I don't have the exact numbers to hand, sorry, that was on a different piece of paper. Kevin, I think
So through the chair,
I think Kevin's got the cheat sheet.
Yeah, for the angle parkings, we're, in Cara Street, we've got an addition of 14 extra car parks.
And I think mobility car parks wise, there's no change.
Yeah, there's
Two, is
two,
it?
so
And
there's
one
one
extra.
extra.
Right, yep.
I think, was it 1, 2, hold on, it might be 13 extra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think it's 13 extra general car parks, because there's one there already at the moment. There's 14 proposed.
That might be correct, my cheat sheet is wrong then.
Okay.
And there's a motorcycle park added.
Yes, in the middle.
Thank you, councillor Thompson. Robin, if you want to continue with Grey Street.
Grey Street, Wellington Street, so this was one of our minor improvement projects that has been approved through the Infrastructure and Transport Committee previously. This is to put a signalised pedestrian crossing outside KFC, providing access to the shops and the link through to the park. It's a very busy area. So there's been quite a lot of work done on this one to minimise the impact on parking loss, and that's been achieved through creating some additional parking in Grey Street, but to move Wellington Street through to angle parking to get the additional parking in that area. It is a very high demand parking area for commuters, people involved with the sports activities and that sort of thing as well. So that there is, and I think there was a, sorry, this wasn't my report, I'm standing in for Martin, so I'm not quite as over it as I normally would be.
Doing awesome, Robin. Thank you. Keep going. Any questions about Wellington Street, Grey Street? No? Okay, we'll continue on with Cambridge Road.
So again, this is a project, a minor improvement project that was approved by previous Infrastructure and Transport Committee. The project was for installing signalised pedestrian crossing. It has been a project that's been done in conjunction with planned pavement repairs and resurfacing, along with curb and channel repairs. We've also taken the opportunity to improve the cycle facilities along this area, because by putting in the curb extensions we weren't able to take the cyclists through safely. So the proposed restriction changes are around tidying up the various extensions of no stopping, because for some of the side roads we've brought them out a lot further. That's made it easier for people to get in and out of them, Prescott Place for example, and just formalising the various cycle facilities, turning into shared paths and etc. through the shops.
Councillor Bitter.
On page 31 of the report, which is 32 in diligent, there is the bottom of the two images is showing changes around the Hillcrest shops on Cambridge Road.
Yes, top, yes.
What is the timing of that project?
So we had originally planned to do it all in one hit, but when we did the consultation with the shop owners at the top, they were really keen that we tried to fit that into the Christmas sort of lull period that they have. So what we've done is we've literally stopped the whole resealing project short of that, and we're intending to come back and do that in January next year.
Right.
So that's in conjunction with the businesses that we've negotiated that.
Yeah. So when does that come back to this committee in detail?
So the idea would be, so this one is a green project. So the aim is to always, our aim generally is to have the approval of the restriction changes happen before the projects.
Yeah.
We're doing a bit of catch up with this committee because the last committee meeting was in September last year. So we're doing catch up. The aim would be to get all of those approved today, such that they then just come into effect when the work is done.
Right. So if we want to make changes to the design of this project, we can still approve stuff today about
The restriction.
restrictions.
Yes.
And if necessary, adjust those later on to suit changes.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bitter. Councillor Moroney.
My question's around the shared path with the shops and cycles and lots of activity going on there. So that's a new aspect. Is it currently a shared path, or is that new?
It's a new component that's just been built. They've literally just finished this work.
Okay, so that's already in place.
Yes,
Okay.
at Prescott. Yes.
Okay.
So through the chair, just to reiterate what Robin's just said before, we try to get in front of these, but since we haven't had a meeting since September around the lane markings and other things, this one is actually one that is, I live just around the corner, so it's been built and has been marked. Yeah.
Right.
It's just around them, making sure that it's enforceable.
Okay. Is that common to have shared cycleways outside of retail properties?
Yes, it is. It's an increasing feature that we are seeing around the place. We do have them in front of the Bader Street shops, for example. That was one of the more recent projects that it was done. Yeah.
And what's been the experience with that?
I haven't heard any feedback on that, so I'm assuming that people are still comfortable with it.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Bitter.
Sorry to have a second go at questions. Cambridge Road, the lower part of that, around Jack's Cafe, we can look on page 30 of the report, the top two pictures. What review process is there to see how that is performing?
We will be doing some reviews, just monitoring, and we're expecting, we've worked up a good relationship with the shops. We've been, the team have been visiting them very regularly, so they certainly know how to contact us. So we're expecting that they're going to give us the practical feedback of how it's working as well.
Right, okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have a question about Cambridge Road. So we've noted that the infrastructure is in and there is a place for review to happen afterwards. If the review is good, then great, we tick it off and the job is done. What happens if the review produces feedback where the community say, actually, this is not working how we would like it to work? What would that process be?
So if we have concerns, we'll be having to have a look and see how we can address that. The most likely concern is around speed of cyclists through that section. So that may be that we're looking at additional signage, or we may give them a speed hump perhaps. So it's hard to say exactly what we will do without actually understanding what the issues are. But we will try and just work through and deal with low-cost ways of addressing any issues that do occur.
Thank you, Robin. Right, now our next, Councillor Mead.
Robin, what's the volume of cyclists that are going to be going past the shops up at Hillcrest? Because there'll be a lot more than what are at Beta, and given the volume of cyclists going backwards and forwards to university and the shops and the traffic, have we done a survey on how many bikes will be using that and the danger of people walking out in the shops getting hit? Because that's the danger I see there.
Schools as well.
And the schools.
I don't have the figures to hand, sorry. But that's certainly been something that we've been looking at and trying to get that balance, excuse me. On the top of the page at those shops, there's actually a very, very wide footpath through there. So there's minimal impact on that side. On the lower side, the cyclists are actually staying on road.
Is that data available?
I'd have to check and see what the team have got, but yeah, as I said, looking at the picture on, what page are we? 33 on the report. The cyclists are staying on road on the lower part through the new shops near Masters Ave. On the upper part, there is a very, very wide footpath actually through there. And the issue they've actually had is people go and park along it because it's so big and inviting. So they've actually, the bigger concern for shopkeepers there is actually keeping the cars out.
Thank you. Are we able to have a staff action just in terms of having a look to see what data is available on that?
Yep.
And if there is a gap in the data, are we able to collect data and bring that back to this subcommittee?
Absolutely, yep.
Thank you. Our next... Oh, sorry, Councillor Thompson.
Chair Mesh, I was wondering, given the interest in this particular project and just how it functions, where there's maybe some kind of new aspects that we haven't done as regularly before, is this a project where it would be appropriate for it to come back through a short report, say in, I don't know, 3 months or 4 months after implementation, whatever the right period of time would be to let things settle in and collect data and feedback from the businesses?
I think that's an excellent suggestion. And that kind of wraps in all of the little bits and pieces that we were trying to put together in staff actions.
Yeah, so through the chair, absolutely. I think this has always been one that's it's a high profile area. We've got good relationships with the businesses in that space. We can make sure that we come back and have a review, not just of how it's working for the traffic and the cyclists in that space, but also for the businesses.
Okay.
Thank you. So can we note that we will do that for Cambridge Road and Currow Street? Because I think we've had similar kind of questions around Currow Street as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just get clarity? Are you keen to have it for this Jack's Landing sort of area first? Because I'm just mindful that we're not doing the second half until next
I think-
calendar year.
Yeah, I was referring to the Jack's Land,
Yes. Yeah.
the
No, that's
Jack's
cool.
Cafe area
Okay.
there. And would it be a staff action rather, is it a staff action that's just noted, or is it part of the motion we note?
There is a few that is kind of capturing work that's already in place and what has already been agreed, which is why I'd put it as a staff action, because we had agreed that there would be projects coming back in this method, so we're just highlighting them.
Perfect.
Whereas if it was completely new, then we'd be putting it into the motion.
And sorry, last question. Can, are we able to, in the next future reports, have like just they're already in the agenda planning reports, but just in the reports themselves, a little section which notes previous staff actions which are live?
You will be seeing the first version of this is in the council agenda, where we're trying to grab all of those points and have a update that's sitting at the front of the agenda for the entire.
Wonderful.
So it's coming.
Thank you. That would
Thank
be
you
really
very
great.
much.
Thank you. Okay, we need to be moving along through. So questions are great, keep them coming, but just mindful that we do need to keep moving. So if we can move on to Ulster Street and Myrtle Road, please, Robin.
Yes, so another minor improvement project that's been approved by the Transport and Infrastructure Committee for our signalised intersection.
Any questions? I think everyone is very familiar with that. So we'll move on to the next one, Te Rapa Road, Varden Road, Garnet Avenue.
Again, a minor improvement and through a previously approved project.
No questions from the floor? Okay, we will...
Sorry, Graham just jumped in.
Oh, Councillor Mead.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor West. Just on this, the presentation of all the detail we've got here, can that be in the original presentation that we've seen before? So when we've gone out to consultation with the people out there, there's a whole lot more detail on this than what went out when we first saw it, so we can get a better understanding. Like, all the detail of the things that are going in it weren't in those first consultation documents we saw.
That's because this is a detailed design drawing. So yes, it's further along in the process, and this one is specifically focusing on the road marking changes to try and be clear about what the restriction changes are. But yes, it's available if it's needed.
You know,
What's your question,
I just
councillor
hope this would be
Mead?
part of the consultation document at the beginning.
We don't have this information at that early stage when we go out and do consultation.
Yeah, so through the chair, it's just, we go out to consultation with initial designs. If we're to go to this level for consultation, there's a significant cost to that, especially if it does change at that stage. And also a delay in timeframes. But I do get your question, but it's just that this is a design drawing that is born for building it, which is not for consultation purposes generally. Yep.
Thank you. And if I can add to that, feedback that I've received from the community is if they are consulted with a really detailed diagram like this, there is a perception that the decision's already been made. You've put this much work into it, so I appreciate why we go out with a more basic design and then build this as the project develops. Thank you. No other questions. We'll move on to Comries Road, Hukanui Road.
Comrades Hukanui, another minor improvement. We turned the traffic signals on yesterday afternoon, just prior to school getting out, so it's in operation now.
No questions? Okay, we'll keep moving through Pembroke Street.
Pembroke Street, so this is up at the hospital at the Hague Road intersection. The priority here had been changed in the past when the buses were actually running through the hospital. When they were taken out, we asked the hospital if they wanted to change. At that stage, they didn't. We've now received a request from them. This is part of our minor improvements program, and so that's putting the priority back to being on Pembroke Street, and there's also a little bit of work there to improve the ability for pedestrians to get through there safely, because there's quite a high movement of people, and included in that is swapping the parking to the other side of the road.
Councillor Mead.
Councillor Mesh. Robin, how many car parks have we lost at hospital in a very tight car parking area with this change?
There's probably two there, either end, and that was about making sure that those buses and that got through.
Because look, just me looking at the figures, I think there's 18 in the hospital development from what's been taken out and put back in. Across the taken and take-outs.
Sorry, so what's your question?
How many car parks have we lost?
Car parks lost. Yeah, I'm just looking at what I can see in the plan where we switched the parking from one side of the street to the other.
So through the chair, sorry, if we can, we've got the answers here for the ones we expected in the CBD and Grace, in Ham East. This one here, I'll ask Gordon just to go through the documents and find an answer for you, Graham.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. And will we receive that answer in here, or will that come by executive update?
We can try and get it here. If not, it will be executive update. Thanks.
Thank you. And I just want to acknowledge Councillor Neha, who has arrived, who's not part of our official committee, subcommittee here, but welcome. All right, so moving along to Norton, quiet route, walking and cycling.
Yes, so this again is a minor improvement program that's well underway. We've got quite a lot of new facilities crossing through parks and providing an alternate route to using, in effect, Avalon Drive. There are a couple of locations where we've got new shared paths and at-grade crossing, so they're curb extensions to allow people to get across the road. So that's that one.
Thank you. Lake Domain Drive.
Again, another minor transport improvement project. This is one that's been built and is now operational outside. So it's a link from the Western Rail Trail through past Innes Common, past the hockey fields and that sort of thing.
No questions? All right, we're going to move into the parking restriction changes resulting from the Waikato Regional Council Public Transport Network. And since we are running along on time, quite slow on time, I'm going to, instead of doing this piece by piece, open up for questions on the whole lot rather than individual pieces, so we can keep moving through. Councillor Moroney.
Thank you. My questions are around the removal of bus stops on Bader Street and Forest Lake Road in particular. Is that because, I couldn't work it out in the report whether it's because they are not currently used as bus stops or what the rationale was for removing those bus stops?
So that's in the general part of the body of the report, is it? They will be tidy ups. I mean, all of the work that we do for new bus stops or removal of bus stops is an association with the regional council and changes.
So that would imply then that those bus stops aren't being used?
Yes.
Any longer?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. It may be, no, that's not really a question.
Just you want to frame it into a question?
Would it be possible in the future for us to have a little bit of context around why those changes are sought, particularly around public transport, removal of bus stops in particular?
I believe that information should be in the schedule. But I'll keep looking. And see
Look,
if I can find it. Yeah.
in the interest of time, I'll just I'll
Follow that up offline.
I'll wait for the question on that later.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Chair, I have raised this, so I'll be annoying, but previously, could we have not only the text but also the wonderful pictures text searchable, so we can quickly flick to the appropriate picture?
As you will find in the council agenda, we've just started a new process that's had some work, but you will be getting more searchable as it goes along.
Thank you. So maybe next agenda
I'm looking forward to it.
will be searchable, more searchable than the current one.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Moving through our traffic bylaw changes, I'm going to propose that we take the same approach as we did with the Waikato Regional Transport one, that instead of going piece by piece, that you have your questions for that as a block. Do we have Councillor Mead?
Thanks, Chair Mesh. Is this where I can ask the question, has all the procurement process been followed correctly with regards panels, tendering and or direct awarded? And is there a process that we can see at the end of it to ensure that's all been followed?
So the restriction changes get made by three means. So the majority of changes are made through the Connect Hamilton contract. So that's already gone through that full procurement process, which elected members are aware of following the recent drop-in. If it's part of a minor improvement project, then that's being worked through the minor improvements contract panel that has been set up. So it's just included as part of that work along with all the physical works. And finally, it could be done by a developer, and that's at their own expense and own cost. So obviously there's no procurement processes that we're involved with there.
So with the Connect Hamilton contract, is that costed before it's done, or is it just done?
No, it's costed. So basically, following today's resolutions, we issue the work to them and get them to price it, and then we get the work delivered.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
yeah, through the chair, we don't do that until we get the resolutions
Sorry?
passed. We don't do that until we get the resolutions passed, run it through Connect Hamilton. Yep.
Thank you. So if there are no other traffic bylaw questions, are there any general questions? I have a few general questions that maybe I'll lead with that, and if you have any general questions, you can ask that shortly. My question kind of leads into what Councillor Mead was asking and what you've touched on already, Kevin, is we've got a whole raft of changes that are proposed in the report. Do we know what the total cost is of implementing everything that's in that report so far?
No.
Through the chair, I can answer that, but just if I can, I think Gordon's got a question on the previous one. An answer. Yep.
So what Councillor Mead's question around the loss of car parks at the EU hospital. As I look at the report, is this one car park? Only one? Yeah.
Thank you, Gordon.
Yep, and through the chair, your question again, sorry?
The question was, do we know what the total cost to implement all of the changes in that report are?
No, so at this current time, I think I've just said before, what we have is we will issue this work, majority of it through to Connect Hamilton. They will give us estimates based on that, and we're happy to provide those estimates once we receive them. But again, we're not going out predetermined that this is all going to get passed.
Thank you. And I have another question around parking spaces. So we just had an answer around the parking space around Hamilton, around the hospital. We've had questions about parking spaces around various other projects. And so each of those pieces have parking gained, parking lost. Do we know what the net gain or loss is for the whole report?
So through the chair, not for the entire report, but what we have got is for the CBD, because we know that's a hot topic. We've got 19 additions and 3 taken away, so overall 16 additions in that area. And in Hamilton East, we have 11 additional ones. Yep.
Thank you. And I guess my last question is, appreciate that this is the end of a process, that approvals have been given up front. Are you able to tell our subcommittee or give an indication of what changes are deemed essential from the report, and are there any that could be deferred in the current fiscal climate?
So changes for minor improvements are pre-approved projects, so we've got the funding for it. Most of the other changes are here because there are either safety risks or concerns that have been expressed by members of the public or have been identified by staff. So I therefore consider them to be essential.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Councillor Bidder.
So we've heard on the small, like 2 metre bits of painting, that traffic management will be kept to a minimum. On the other projects where there's necessarily more substantial traffic management required for the markings, what actions are we undertaking to reduce traffic management costs from previous standards now that the government's changed to project by project
So
process?
the move to the New Zealand Guide for Temporary Traffic Management moves to what they call a risk-based assessment. The biggest savings we make for traffic management costs are by bundling work together. So the aim is to try and deliver anything or multiple things when you do a site. So that's where, certainly for our minor improvements, if we can tie that up with a reseal or something like that, that's where you get your best value for money.
Mm-hmm.
The crew also, through Connect Hamilton, any work that they're doing, they have a weekly meeting to try and coordinate sites on a week-by-week basis to minimise the costs there.
Yeah, so that's good to see that we're trying to get a double use out of any work. But on the risk-based assessments, are we seeing opportunities for savings through risk-based assessments?
So they're really just starting to come through now. And the biggest value that we're getting is for the major projects.
Yeah.
And we believe that there's some good opportunities for some of the work we do on the state highway, where we believe that there are certainly some savings to be made with the requirements that we've had to have in the past, their requirements, and working through risk-based assessment. There's quite a process to change the approval for those plans, because they basically work through what they call a generic, which is approved for the year. They're changing to PARs, which are a pre-approved regular something or other. Sorry, forgot what the S was. So that process is literally happening as our generics expire in July.
Right.
Just getting them pulled together and have to jump through the approval process for them to start for next financial year.
So
We
from
are expecting
July,
some savings.
we're hoping to see fewer road cones?
Fewer road cones, some of the attenuators as well, yes.
Thank you.
Great questions. Thank you. Councillor Mead.
Thanks, Chair. Miss. Just one other question. Post all of these changes, is there follow-up and reports and checkings on what's been done, especially on some of the bigger ones, prior to what we needed it for and then post that it's worked?
So for the no stopping, for the regulatory side of this, which is what this is primarily about, there is checks to make sure that what's been approved through the committee is what gets marked out on site. The projects themselves, that's basically the approval through the city delivery. We are certainly monitoring components of that for the walking and cycling, yes.
Thank you. If we have no further questions, then I will move that the staff motion be put, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Thank you very much. And, I was going to do that as a separate motion. I was going to, thank you. And thank you very much, Robin, for being in the hot seat on all the questions. Councillor
Just to clarify what we'll do as staff actions and what we'll do as motions before we move into debate.
Yeah.
So Amy will have taken some notes on some things, but there are a couple of projects that I'd like to be certain that we are coming back to look at in detail.
Were they Seddon, Carroll Street,
and
cycling
and
sets on Cambridge to report back on?
the Cambridge Masters have Cambridge
Yes.
Masters have shops
Yes.
to have a look at the whole project, and just the turning circles into Carrow Street,
Yes.
the sight lines on Seddon.
Yes,
Yeah.
got them.
Yeah, so that's a staff action.
Yes, so those have been gathered in staff actions because it's either information that we wanted to have today but we haven't, cycling information for Cambridge Road, or the actions that are already underway but we've just signified that these are the ones that will be reported back on.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So Jack's Cafe thing would come back later post-construction?
Once it's been installed, about 3 months, but not the Cambridge Road up the top part because that one's later once we've actually got it in there.
Thank you. Good clarity. So we're clear on what information is going to be brought back to us, and if we just look at the motions as they are now, we'll come back to that separate motion put by Councillor Thompson in a minute. So the big bulk, the motions, I will move that motion, and Councillor Thompson's going to second it, and I will open debate on that. Do we have any comments? Councillor Thompson.
Very brief, given we have 4 minutes before our regional council colleagues arrive. Thank you to Robin, Martin, if he's listening, Gordon, all of the team for your work on these. I do want to, in particular, thank the team for the work around the CBD parking, because it was a motion from last term, following feedback from businesses and some ideas that they shared around opportunities for additional car parks. It's fantastic to actually see. Now we've got a net gain of 16 additional car parks in Central City, and in particular 13 new ones plus an extra mobility park in Caro Street, which is right in the heart of the Central City, right by Garden Place, and lots of retail. So I'm looking forward to seeing those implemented, along with Hamilton East actually, which is incredibly busy. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Bitter.
Firstly, I must say that the vast majority of these projects are good, and I'm very pleased to see the additional car parks. So a big thank you for that. It is my job to focus on the exceptions, and I apologise for that. Councillor MacDonald and I attended the Jack's Cafe part of Cambridge Road yesterday with a member of the public and the Waikato Times yesterday. The changes there were primarily to improve cycle safety, but the consequence of those changes was a fairly obvious and significant decline in vehicle safety for people using the angle car parking, and it's not a satisfactory solution. We need to learn from that, because the same sorts of issues will apply to the Cambridge Road Masters Ave area. The main change there was swapping the cycle lane from behind the people reversing out of angle parking to in front, but in doing so the angle parking is moved back close to the traffic flow, and that means people are reversing out into oncoming traffic that is having to stop or slow down. So you're really relying on other people paying attention. That doesn't always happen. And we spend a lot of money on these. If we are only transferring the problem rather than solving the whole issue, that's not good use of our money.
Thank you. Councillor Bitter. Councillor Mead.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to support this motion. There's a lot of work gone into it, and thank you to the staff for that. I would like to flag that in these sorts of reports, when we can, that we'd like to see some costings of them. Because there are some significant costs in here. There's some minor costs as well. But overall, if we could work towards getting some costings in the report, for me, yeah. And again, reading out what Councillor Bitt is saying, that we've got to be sure that we're providing safety for all that are on the road.
Thank you. And Councillor Moroney.
Oh, thank you for all the work that has been done by the team for this report. Happy to support the motion. Just wishing to note in this debate that it is great that we are creating some additional car parks, 16 in the CBD and 11 in Hamilton East. But with a city that's approaching 200,000, we are never going to solve people's access to the CBD and other areas by small numbers of parking being increased in that way. Coming back to my initial point this morning, that we really are only going to resolve that issue by having a decent public transport system in place. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you, Councillor Moroney. So I'll exercise my right of reply, and then we're getting really close to the end of our meeting. My thanks also to the staff who put that report together. It's a substantial piece of work with a lot of moving parts in it, and this being a new transport subcommittee, you are dealing with multiple different lenses and multiple different angles for information, and so kudos to the team for anticipating what will be needed and being able to, yes, agree to go away and collect information that wasn't anticipated. So thank you very much. I appreciate that greatly. I also wanted to make a couple of notes about a couple of pieces in that report. Caro Street also, taking on board your point, Councillor Moroney, but I do applaud the small numbers of car parks that we can get. I think that is a small one. I appreciate that there is a bigger problem to solve there. Also noting that that's a piece of work that is downtown, and I know that the CBD Revitalisation Subcommittee is doing some work around parking and other items of that nature down there. So just, I guess, noting the coordination that's required across those different subcommittees to make sure that work doesn't need to be revisited. Much of also what we're considering today predates the subcommittee. It's been inherited from the previous committee structure, and also that noting that a significant part of the report that we went through today is procedural. So it's simply updating bylaws so that enforcement can happen. It's not necessarily approving projects. That's already been done. So that includes cycleways, which are referenced in this report, and Councillor Bitter noted the cycleway on Cambridge Road that we visited yesterday. It's already been constructed, and we're looking at simply updating the register to reflect that. But I have expressed reservations about putting in new separated cycleway infrastructure and the tension between trying to make things safe for all users. Thank you, I hear the bell, but I'm the chair, so I'm going to keep going. And just noting about, we need to be really clear about that what's in the report is just formalising what's already on the ground. Last point is noting a point that Robin noted already, that seeing the changes of nature implemented and then returning to council as a retrospective register of updates raises some governance concerns for me. Noting that Cambridge Road was a green project, so it has gone ahead with staff delegations and that those delegations were exercised and operated within. However, this reinforces the importance of ensuring that the visibility is upfront for elected members. Appreciate we have timing issue with the last committee happening quite a long time ago, but having it upfront is far better for us than to be looking at things retrospectively. So appreciate the comments made in that regards. And just closing up, recognising that this is early days in a brand new trinium, and I have been encouraged with talking to residents who have seen their submissions and feedback onboarded, and they have seen it translate into infrastructure. So there are some things that are being done really well. I appreciate the work that goes into that, and I'm looking forward to seeing the, transport changes in infrastructure going ahead under this new subcommittee. So thank you very much, everybody, for your attention, for your comments and your questions today. I think we are starting in a really good place. So with that, the motion, we will put the motion and take a vote. Can I please see a show of hands of everyone who approves? Thank you.
Motion is carried unanimously.
And we move, last item of business is the last motion put together by Councillor Thompson. Would you like to speak to that?
After quite a few months of back and forth with a resident around some parking, I'm bringing this through the committee to get it reported back to the subcommittee the next meeting. It's just an additional car park outside of 68 Commerce Street, which removes some yellow lines. Apparently the shop that it's outside is happy with the proposal, and it was proposed by the auction place next door. Yeah. Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? No? Okay, can I see a show of hands of who will support that?
Carried unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, so to close our very first meeting, I will invite anyone else who would like to join me with the karakia, and then our meeting will be closed. Tēnei te whakari, tēnei te whakawātia, haumea, huie, tae kie. Thank you, everybody.